Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's Aces High, and today I'm bringing you guys the next part in the Napoleonic Wars. Everybody told me, hey, the next video in line is going to be the two in Spain. We watched the first one. This one's going to be the second one. So it's titled Salamanca 1812, and this is another video by Epic History TV. Fantastic channel. Go check them out. I did get permission to use their videos, so don't worry about any of that. One thing that I do want to point out. If you guys haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you sub and ring that bell. It helps me out, and you'll see all my videos when I post them, because I do post them every single day. One other thing before we get into all this, I am really excited to see the timeline, because I know Napoleon's his, I guess, interest and his part in the Louisiana territory and all that, the Louisiana Purchase in the United States, and I'm excited to connect it all to that, not necessarily in the Spain episode, but just overall. Also, I really like geography as well as history, so I found a few interesting map videos and just things like that I'm going to be posting on here. I'll probably take a break from history 2-3 days a week, and I'll be posting some other really interesting videos. You don't want to miss out on that. Anyway, I'm going to sit back, shut up, and we're going to get started.
Spain and Portugal would become a graveyard, not just for young French conscripts, but for the reputation of some of France's most famous generals. General Junot, Marshal Soult, and Marshal Jourdan had all tasted defeat.
Yeah.
Marshal Massena had been recalled in disgrace.
You know, I don't know what it is, but there was something about Marshal Soult. I really like the guy. And that's one of the marshals that I'm really excited to learn about the marshals once this whole series is over, because I'm hoping he's in there, and I'd really like to learn about him.
Marshal Louis Gabriel Suchet was the exception. French generals in Spain were notorious for their looting. Soult, based in Andalusia, was probably the worst, reckoned to have stolen 1.5 million francs worth of art from Spanish monasteries and churches. As governor of Aragon, Marshal Suchet behaved very differently.
Now I feel bad. I just said he was my favorite out of them, and he's the one that looted the most.
Enforced strict discipline on his troops, punishing any who tried to steal or extort money from the Spanish, while treating local authorities with respect. He combined this hearts and minds strategy with ruthless military action against the guerrillas that was able to establish firm control of Aragon. In June 1811, after a particularly bloody assault, Suchet took the port of Tarragona, for which Napoleon rewarded him with his marshal's baton.
Nice.
The emperor then sent him reinforcements and ordered him to take Valencia. First, he routed him up.
I just learned something. So you, in Napoleon's army, you could actually be in charge of a corps without being the rank of marshal, I guess? Without being a marshal. I didn't know that. I thought in order to be, if you were in charge of a corps, you know, the large groups, you were a marshal. That's good to know.
Much larger Spanish army that attacked him at Saguntum before he laid siege to Valencia. The city was packed with Spanish troops and refugees, and to avoid starvation, General Blake surrendered Valencia on the 8th of January, 1812. The French took 18,000 prisoners, including 23 generals, and nearly 500 guns. It was a devastating blow to the Spanish cause. But to reinforce Suchet, Napoleon had stripped troops from other armies in Spain, and then withdrawn 25,000 of the best troops for his imminent invasion of Russia. The result was that French forces in Spain were now severely overstretched.
Yeah.
Just as Wellington prepared to strike.
This is another example of where I was saying that I think that Napoleon kind of pushed too fast and he overextended. He's pulling troops from Spain, which is already kind of struggling, to go and move straight into Russia. Now you're fighting two fronts on full, and Spain is undermanned.
Spanish guerrillas kept Wellington well informed of French movements, and learning that the forces facing him in western Spain had been much weakened, he decided to go on the offensive, to strike a blow before the French could concentrate against him. On the day that Valencia fell, he laid siege to Ciudad Rodrigo on the Portuguese-Spanish frontier. Eager to take the city before Marshal Marmont could march to its relief, he ordered an assault after just 10 days. It succeeded, though Major General Crawford of the Light Division was among 300 killed.
Oh, wow.
Wellington then marched south to besiege the much more strongly defended city of Badajoz. An assault was made on the night of the 6th of April. The first wave attacking the main breach were slaughtered. But what was supposed to be a diversionary attack on the city's castle with scaling ladders succeeded, and the city soon fell.
Really?
The storm.
So that was supposed to be a diversion, as he just put it. What was it a diversion of? What was supposed to be the main attack? If, because that wasn't the plan to have that work. Yeah, if you guys know, let me know what the main attack was going to be.
The bombing of Badajoz cost the British 3,700 casualties. In the aftermath, survivors went on the rampage, drinking, looting and raping, and killing more than 100 Spanish civilians before British officers finally restored order.
Wow.
Wellington had secured the two main routes between Spain and Portugal. Now he sent his most reliable subordinate, General Hill, with a small Anglo-Portuguese force to destroy the bridge over the Tagus at Almaraz. This was a vital link between Marmont's army of Portugal and Soult's army of the south, as the next usable bridge was at Toledo, 90 miles east.
See, I thought the whole point of having a core system was to have like engineers with you, medics with you, that type of thing. I know it wouldn't be a perfect bridge, but couldn't the engineers just build another bridge at a different crossing? Then again, I guess I don't know how wide this river is. If it's a huge, just super wide river, I understand. It's not like it's a creek crossing.
The bridge was well guarded by forts and redoubts, but Hill led a swift and daring assault. The French defenses were taken by surprise. The bridge itself and all the engineering equipment burned, for the cost of just 177 casualties.
Wow. That's impressive.
Wellington was now ready to begin his advance into Spain. Spanish regular forces and guerrilla bands began operations to tie down as many French troops as possible. While from the Bay of Biscay, Sir Hugh Popham's naval raiding force made diversionary attacks on French coastal targets. In 4 days, Wellington was at Salamanca, as Marmont, outnumbered, withdrew behind the Douro River. But when reinforcements arrived, he crossed the river again. For 6 days, Marmont tried to march around Wellington's flank, but the British general matched him move for move, their two armies marching in parallel, often within sight of each other.
Wow, could you imagine
But on
that?
the 7th day, Marmont blundered.
I've got a question for you guys. The red that they had around their waist, the people that were leading, are those just signs of leaders or like troop leaders, or I don't know, not generals, but just whatever types, like sergeants or something? Or is it for something else, some specific sharpshooters, or are they medics, or what are they if you have the red on your waist? Let me know if you know.
On the morning of the 22nd of July, Wellington's army occupied high ground 4 miles south of Salamanca. Marmont was not interested in a direct assault. He still sought to outflank Wellington, threaten his line of retreat to Portugal, and force him to fall back.
Hmm.
Around 8 a.m., the French won a dash for a hill known as the Greater Arapil, which Marmont made his observation point.
Smart.
The French army began to swing round behind him. Marmont had convinced himself that Wellington was an overly cautious general who would not risk attack. The hills hid most of Wellington's army from view, and when Marmont saw dust clouds to the west, he assumed it was Wellington's baggage train leaving Salamanca, beginning their retreat. But it was the British 3rd Division and a Portuguese cavalry brigade moving up to strengthen Wellington's flank. Because he wasn't planning a retreat. He was about to attack.
I gotta tell you, out of everybody that Napoleon's faced so far, Wellington just seems... I mean, he's been in a couple videos now, and he just seems like the best leader that Napoleon's come up across, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong.
Around 2 p.m., Marmont ordered the 5 infantry divisions waiting in the woods behind him to march west, to cut off Wellington's imagined retreat. General Mokoon's 5th Division, in the lead, stopped to engage what was presumed to be the British rearguard in the village of Los Arapiles. General Thomier's 7th Division continued west past it. Wellington watched as the French left flank became increasingly strung out and knew it was an opportunity too good to miss. He galloped 3 miles across country to the 3rd Division to give the crucial orders in person. Many of his staff officers struggled to keep up. On arrival, he instructed the division's commander, his own brother-in-law, Edward Pakenham, to attack and drive everything before him. Third Division's advance was hidden by low hills until the last minute. Thomier's division was caught completely unawares and shattered by the assault.
Wow.
Thomier's himself was killed. Half his division killed or captured. The rest soon put to flight. At this crucial moment, Marshal Marmont was hit by a British shell and carried from the field seriously wounded. His second-in-command, General Bonnet, was himself wounded an hour later.
Oh my
So
God.
command passed to General Clausel. 45 minutes later, the British 5th Division attacked, supported by 2 Portuguese brigades and General Le Marchand's dragoons. The French saw the cavalry coming and formed square, but were hit first by the British infantry, who unleashed a close-range volley, then charged with the bayonet. The French were routed and charged down by Le Marchand's cavalry. French 6th Division was caught up in the collapse.
God, it's a slaughter.
Le Marchand himself was shot from the saddle, but his brigade had helped destroy 8 French battalions and capture 2 Eagles. Wellington's echelon attack continued as Cole's 4th Division advanced in the centre. But Pack's Portuguese brigade was thrown back from the Greater Arapil, and the whole division was soon falling back in disorder. Despite the devastation of his army's left flank, General Clausel decided to launch an attack on the lesser Arapil, the hinge of Wellington's position.
That just seems like, I understand it's a key point, but if you launch an attack, it just makes you even weaker from the side, and they can push through and get behind you. Now you're pinched between 2 armies, and all you have is a key point, maybe a hill or something, and all your other people are, it seems like a stupid move.
If it could be taken, he might still snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
Maybe.
But the French advance was met by fresh troops of Clinton's 6th Division, who poured volleys of musket fire into the French columns. They began to fall back. The French army had lost the will to fight on. its soldiers streaming away into the woods behind them. General Ferré's 3rd Division mounted a brave rearguard action to buy the rest of the army time to escape, but it faced a hopeless task. It was soon outflanked by the British 5th Division, and Ferré himself was killed.
Wow.
Only General Foy's 1st Division escaped in good order. With darkness falling and his army exhausted, Wellington called off the pursuit.
These defeats are just getting worse and worse for the French army. That was a hell of a defeat right there. Wellington does seem like a great strategist.
Wellington had smashed Marmont's army, taking 7,000 prisoners and killing or wounding 6,000 more, a French casualty rate of 25%.
13,000.
Double
Wow.
Wellington's own losses.
13,000 dead or wounded, or captured, compared to his 5,000. If you flip that around, that's what it looked like at the beginning of Napoleon's war, when he had these trained soldiers in the Grande Armée, you know? Wow. It's been completely flipped. I mean, it's not looking good at all.
The next day, dragoons of the King's German Legion attacked the French rearguard and achieved the almost unheard of feat of charging down a French infantry square and taking another 1,000 prisoners. Wellington now decided to march on Madrid, forcing King Joseph to abandon the capital and retreat to Valencia to join up with Marshal Suchet.
Wow.
On the 12th of August, Wellington liberated the city to scenes of wild celebration. Soult, now at risk of being cut off in Andalusia, abandoned the siege of Cadiz, which had dragged on for 2.5 years, and marched east to join Joseph and Suchet. The following month, Wellington marched north, pushing the French back from Valladolid and besieging the castle of Burgos. But his army lacked heavy guns, and the French garrison fought bravely. As powerful French armies gathered to the north and south, Wellington himself was now in danger of being trapped. He had no choice but to withdraw.
Withdraw fast.
Wellington's retreat turned into a desperate forced march through autumn rain. The supply system collapsed, and many starving soldiers looted what food they could find from Spanish villages. Madrid was abandoned and reoccupied by the French on the 1st of November. Wellington was back where he'd started 5 months before.
Wow.
But despite the campaign's dismal conclusion, his strike into Spain had led to the liberation of huge swathes of the country and left the French more overstretched than ever. Reinforced and resupplied, Wellington would be back the next year to deliver the final blow to Joseph's Spanish kingdom. 1812 had seen the tide of war turn, and not just in Spain, because 2,000 miles to the east, in Russia, catastrophe had engulfed the Grande Armée.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be getting into Russia here. I think it starts tomorrow. I'll have to take a look at what's next in chronological order. But on top of that, the War of 1812 also led to a American-British War, you know? Which is just interesting, that the strength of the English, because they were over here, the British, they were over here kicking ass in France. At the same time, they were over in the U.S., you know, burning down. What, War of 1812 is when the first I'm not going to be quoted on that. Never mind. Anyway, yeah, it was a hell of a year. 3 wars going on.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, let's have a talk about that. What'd you think? I mean, it's an incredible time. It doesn't look like Napoleon's going to be able to take Spain and Portugal. Again, I don't know. I don't know much about the Napoleonic Wars. I know that he advanced quite a way, but eventually got pushed back, and I do know what happened to him at the end. But that's about it. I don't know if he actually ended up taking Spain and Portugal, so I'll have to wait to find out, just like many of you. Um, but I do believe that the next video is Russia. Again, don't quote me on that. I'll take a look at whatever's next in this playlist I have set up in chronological order. But either way, I'm super excited to keep on moving forward and see how this concludes. It's not looking good for Napoleon. Let me know what you guys think so far in the comments. Also, like I said before, I am big time into maps and geography, and I just love some of those crazy, oh my god, these things found on Google Earth here, or countries that don't appear right on maps, or just something crazy like that. If you guys have any videos or anything, link it in the comments. Let me know, and I'll do my best to be able to check out that video. I do have to get permission from the channel, but as long as they give me permission, I'm in. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Till next time, this is Ace I love y'all, and I'm out.